RPN is not responsible for the views, actions, statements, or opinions of its guests, advertisers, or even its viewers. The information contained on this program is not to be construed as medical or legal advice. An appearance on this show is not necessarily an endorsement, and as always, we encourage you to do your own research. Enjoy the show. Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. As always, I am Zak the Corruption Detector, and this is another edition of Red Pill News for Friday Night Livestream. I hope everyone's having a lovely day. My guest this evening, the host of Open Source News, BCP, in the house once again. We are gearing up to bring you guys a conversation about some of the biggest subjects facing the world and America today. Just had some big news break before we went live. RBG has passed away yet again. President Trump is guaranteed another Supreme Court pick in an election year, and it looks like it might happen before the actual election itself. All right, guys, settle in, sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a very brief word from our sponsor. You know, for a lot of people, life has never looked so uncertain as it does right now. And across this country, people are being paralyzed into indecision, hemming and hawing about everything, feeling flustered and shutting down, avoiding that issue, the money one. But bleak as it may look, there may be a silver or even a gold lining. If you've worked for years before CV19, you might have an old 401k or even an old IRA sitting around gathering dust that we can help you with. Working for your old company when it could be working for you. And we're not talking peanuts here either. Some plans have thousands of dollars in them. To find out more about unlocking your own hidden treasure, call the team at Noble Gold at 877-646-5347. And if that's not incentive enough, Noble Gold are giving away the U.S. Mint's own solid silver 5-ounce, $1 Apollo 11 moon landing coin with each qualifying gold or silver IRA. So it's worth jumping on the phone and calling 877-646-5347. Once again, that's 877-646-5347. Tell them Red Pill 78 sent you. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, gang, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and please join me in welcoming our guest for this evening, BCP. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
It's going great. Thanks, Zach. Big hug to everyone out there in the Red Pill 78 family.
That's right. We have a combined audience of BCP and RP78 fam in the house tonight. You guys, do me a favor. Don't forget to like and share this broadcast. Help us break through the algorithm. You know how the powers that be at YouTube love to suppress the truth and the actual news that we are trying to bring. So BCP, it's been a minute since you've been on the channel. Obviously, a lot's happened in the world, but before we talk about the current events in the state of America, I want to see what's going on with you. How's the family?
The family's doing fantastic. No complaints.
No complaints. All right. So any new developments there in your part of the world that you'd like to discuss?
California still sucks. Yeah, that's. I've been spending a lot of time traveling. People who follow me on Twitter and my posts will see that I've been in Nevada, Arizona, and Utah in the last week or so. I'll be in Wisconsin, Denver. I'll be spending most of the time in Wisconsin, a little bit of time in Denver, and possibly Chicago a couple days in the next month or so. And I want to do reunions, where what we call BCP Family Reunions, where we get together with the family. We did one in San Diego. I rented out a big hotel. We had a couple hundred people come in.
Wow.
We had a fun time. We talked and we hung out and what have you. But that was before all the riots, before COVID, etc. I was in Salt Lake City, and we just put out on Twitter, hey, we're going to be at the I forget what they call it, the City Creek Center, something in downtown, right before we headed over to the airport, Mrs. BCP and myself. And it was a good time. We had about 15, 20 people show up, but we also had some kind of Antifa guy there, which kind of put a spoiler on it. Said he was going to dox me and dox some other people, whatever. I'm going to be doxing myself in the next 90 days to 6 months anyway. But anyway, so that kind of put a damper on it. Now my wife's kind of sour on us we were going to do something when we're in Green Denver, but now we're kind of second guessing it. So by the way, if that Antifa guy is watching this, we have your picture and we have a whole digital army. We will dox you.
Absolutely. I'm sorry to hear that, man. You know, you kind of inspired me with your little soirees, the get-togethers for the BCP fam. I'm doing my own first live in-person event on September 29th, which is supposed to be the first debate between Sleepy Joe and good old President Trump.
Supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm not convinced it's going to happen necessarily. We're definitely going to be talking about Joe's mental state tonight, but I'm hoping. Against hope. I mean, number one, because a debate with President Trump is always a sight to see. Okay, it doesn't matter who he's going up against. Red Pill girlfriend and I the other night were watching clips from the 2016 election cycle, and he and Jeb Bush. I mean, that was great. I absolutely loved it. But to see him on stage,
you're at 2. You're going to be off the stage here pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly. But the job that President Trump is going to do on Joe Biden if they get on stage together. It's going to be hilarious, but at the same time, I think it'll be a little sad. I mean, a lot of people really don't have any type of feelings one way or the other for Joe Biden. I mean, I look at him and I see a man who is declining on a daily basis. And it's quite obvious that, he's got just a series of handlers around him, propping him up and giving him the lines that he needs to say. Half the time, they don't give him the lines on time and he gets confused. But it's a sad thing. I mean, really, Joe Biden should either, be before a jury trial for his crimes, or he should be allowed to just sit at home in his recliner and, just enjoy the autumn years of his life. But they're not going to let him do that. They have to do anything they can to get rid of President Trump. But so either way, I am going to still do the event. And if there is no debate, we're just going to do, just food and stuff for people to do. My buddy J.R. Majewski, he put it together. There's going to be a stage. He's the guy, BCP. Have you seen the lawn that he painted his lawn, a Trump sign? It's huge. It's in Ohio, and he's going to be in the Guinness Book of World Records, actually. So it's like the size of a football field. It's pretty spectacular. But we're gonna get together, do a live stream, and it'll spend a couple hours with people. And if people are in the Ohio area, Port Clinton, or even if you want to travel to come to Port Clinton, you can be there. But I don't know. I know that you've said that you've been in my neck of the woods before, so I wanted to extend the invitation to you as well.
I appreciate that. Yeah, when I did my travel plans, I absolutely forgot that 29th was the debate, and that's the day I'm traveling later in the day, so I'll miss part of the debates, but I could always change them.
All right. Well, so is this all for work or is this for pleasure?
Oh no, yeah, it's the family reunions are literally family reunions since we travel a lot. I like to travel. And I like to travel. So we went to Europe twice last year. We were there earlier this year. We were in Barcelona and Rome right before COVID, 4 weeks before the shutdown.
Oh, wow.
So we were there in January, came back in January, and then I guess 5 or 6 weeks later they had the shutdown. So we haven't gone anywhere. So what I've been doing is been visiting friends and family. So that's what I've been doing. So, and then sometimes when we have layovers, I just make it an extra day or two to get to know that city or visit some friends or whatever. So if anyone wants to know how to travel cheap, Skyscanner, multi-city, you can really get some really good deals.
All right. Well, thank you for the tip. I appreciate that. All right. Well, so let's talk about what I think is the biggest news of the day. RBG has finally officially passed away, and this is not the first time it's been reported, but this is the first time that all of the media has gone with the story. Now, I don't know about you, BCP, but I personally feel that there are no coincidences, especially in a situation like this. I've always felt that they were holding back on announcing her death for something special. And doing it this close to the election, it puts a lot of different plays into action. You know, I mean, if President Trump is allowed to get his Supreme Court pick before the election, and Mitch McConnell has said that they will allow a vote, then I think the left is going to go insane. If he is not allowed to get a vote, and by some strange coincidence, Joe Biden makes it into the White House, or Kamala Harris makes it in because Joe Biden drops out, you know, then they're up one, and they will have a better Supreme Court lead in terms of getting votes in the future. What do you think is going on with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her death?
All right, so these are just my thoughts, and my thoughts are not representative of RP78 or any of its advertisers or sponsors. Tinfoil hat time, folks. Break out your tinfoil hats. I'm not convinced that she just passed away. I think they just now decided it's an opportune time to let us know of something that has already occurred, whether it was recently or whether it was a little far back. The Democrats do this. They do it. Who was it with John Lewis? I think they did it with Elijah Cunningham, or one of those two, where they actually announced. Someone said, "Oh, I'm so sorry for the death." They tweeted out, "My condolences," and like, no,
it was a week before, yeah,
a week before. It was like, no, not yet. You jumped the gun, you know. And then we've done stuff in the past. Haven't done it lately, where we go back and we actually look at when some of these headlines were written by looking at the metadata, and you see that the stuff was announced, or some of these headlines, these articles were written before the actual official announcement. So it's not conspiratorial to say, oh, it's wacky stuff. It's happened before. Seeing that, I believe that she may have already passed. It could have been a week ago. It could have been 3 days ago. It could have been, who knows, just put a variable of X amount of time ago. I think if they are announcing it at this point, let's go with the assumption that she already passed, but they are using this as an opportune time. First of all, it's a Friday, so late in the news cycle. So it gives the weekend shows and the left a time to do what? Take the focus away from Joe Biden and his gaffes, and we're going to have 48 to 72 hours love fest of RBG, how she was the greatest person. Even Fox, a little thing about she was a champion of women's rights, yada, 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 yada. So for the next 72 hours, we can forget about the riots. We can forget about Joe Biden's gaffes. We can forget about everything, and everything's going to be a love fest for the next week, but definitely over the weekend, it's all going to be about RBG. So first of all, I think it's part of a distraction. They have these things timed along the way so that things aren't damaging to Joe. Also, I think they're trying to solidify the woman base because they have sold her. If you think about it, she hasn't really been a hero until they made that movie, and they really started amping her up in the last 4 or 5 years about this big woman's right heroine of the feminist movement. And I think that's also with this propaganda we're going to be hearing about they're going to be talking about her life and what have you. Everything's going to be eulogy after eulogy. They're going to start getting people, I think, on the. I think we're going to see things like this, maybe not deaths, but we're going to see certain events happen so that the Democrats can try to coalesce some of their base. So their Marxist base, their Black base, their Hispanic base, now their feminist base. That's what I think is going to happen. I think McConnell we do control the Senate. If we are going to get the Supreme Court, they should definitely do it in the next 50 days. President Trump has already published his list. Some people have already said, like Ted Cruz and others, that they're not interested. Hawley said he's not interested to be on that list. So everything is set up for President Trump to just submit the names and the Senate to review them. So this could be, like I said in my video tonight, it could be a silver lining and a blessing in disguise.
Any thoughts on any of the people on that list of names, that 20 people or so? I don't really have any lists. I looked through it, and no one stands out to me, really.
Yeah, nothing really stood out to me. But then again, I'm when it comes to judges and justices and the judiciary, most of us really don't know. Unless you're in that law profession or you're a lawyer or you follow that closely. It's not like other forms of politics, and it should be that way. It should be that way. It should be non-political, and I'm just trusting that list is solid. I didn't know much about Kavanaugh or Gorsuch before their names were presented. When that list came out, I looked at it and I said, "Hey, I trust that these are all, heritage. All these other people, they're going to go for constitutionalists, original list, so I was happy with that. So I'm sure anyone on that list is probably going to be pretty good. And like Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, might be a few disappointments down the road, but you can't, they can't win everything. Gorsuch's gone a couple ways, and I was like, but judiciary wise, I can see why sometimes he swayed a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Gorsuch going a couple of ways. I think specifically his decision on that case in Oklahoma, which essentially gave it back to the native populations. What did you think about that?
I have very strong things about that. I don't believe you have sovereign nations within a nation. I'm pretty clear cut on that. Sorry, Mexico, California, Texas, Arizona, Nevada. It's now America. And it sounds harsh to say that. I mean, I think every black person has a lot of native blood in them. I've done my family history, and I have on both sides, on both of my dad's sides, I have Native American, and I'm half Puerto Rican. So I have Taino, Indian on that side. But we shouldn't have sovereign nations within a nation. Okay. So I wasn't very happy with that decision, especially given how long ago it was, and it became a state, which would nullify that. Mm-hmm. That would be my reasoning. But once again, I'm not a legal scholar.
Talking about California, I mean, right now, there are some fires taking place there, and it seems to me that they're not being covered as much as they have in years past. Maybe that's different with you being in California, but what do you think about these fires? I mean, we've had several instances, and our favorite Anon has posted evidence showing that there were people out there posing as firefighters. They were specifically going out, starting fires, maybe stashing some kerosene and gasoline cans, cutting down telephone poles. Obviously, people have died. And we have the announcement from Secretary Esper that China and Russia have weaponized space with directed energy weapons. I'm immediately thought about those images and those videos from the last couple of years of what looked like directed energy beams shooting to the ground. We had trees burning from the inside out. What do you think about the California fires and these new revelations?
Look, I don't know why on this show you and Frank get the tinfoil hat, tinfoil hat thing. But I live in California, and I've seen these images for years now. How the heck do you have a car that's molten metal, burned, melting, or tires completely gone, metal melting onto the ground, and every tree around it is honky-dory?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a wildfire to me. And President Trump was pretty speedy in setting up Space Force. Mm-hmm. Must be for some particular reason.
Yep. Absolutely. That was the first thing I thought, too. I mean, President Trump came into office, basically immediately says, hey, we're going to have a Space Force. He was ridiculed by the Democrats, and now it looks like he was once again way ahead of the curve. Now, how about the situation with arsonists? I mean, I know that in the last couple of years there were scattered cases of arson, but it now makes me wonder if it was more widespread because we're having such focus on it.
The idea has been, I mean, just look historically. I saw here, and I don't know, it was San Diego, the Union Tribune here in San Diego. Maybe it was the LA Times. I doubt it was the LA Times, but it was a California paper. And they were actually doing rogue journalism, and they were showing the trends of how hot it's been, how the wind factor has been over the last several years. I want to go back, I think, to the 60s or 70s. And the number of fires, because like this is a peak a couple years where they've had some really bad fires. But why is it the last 12, 8, 9 years, they've been really, really bad fires? But statistically, we don't see, it does not in line with other spikes in heat and wind we've seen in the past. We had terrible fires. I don't know if anyone's actually been in a wildfire. We have been, I don't know if I put it on my channel. I think I did on my channel a couple of years ago, driving through northern San Diego County, and literally I'm driving on the Interstate 15. Here in California, we call it the 15. Mm-hmm. I know people always laugh how in California we do talk about our freeways, but literally I'm driving and I've got my phone like this, and you can see the entire ridge burning smoke. It's really surreal. It's really apocalyptic. It's really scary, quite honestly. Makes me want to be a good boy and not have to deal with that for eternity. But
Absolutely.
it's really sobering. And then the reports we always got, we would hear initial reports like they're looking for this person and maybe an arson. And then we get some silly stories. Some guy was dragging a chain behind his car, or something else happened. I always like to listen to the original report. They're looking for someone. Also, they're not looking for someone, and then 12 hours later, they've got some lame explanation. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, Zach, it's been arsons. A lot of these have been arson, purposeful arsons. Well, I guess by definition, an arson does it purposely for a long time. Yes, there are some accidents. Only you can prevent forest fires. There are some accidents, people who were breaking the law, but they didn't mean to start a fire. That's going to happen. But a lot of these activities have been arson fires. There's a lot of mentally ill people on the streets in California. The economy, this is a very expensive state to live in. It's very tough. You have a lot of, unfortunately, disenfranchised people. My heart goes out to the homeless people. There's a lot of great people that just find themselves in a situation, but also there's a lot of mentally ill people out there in the wilderness, in the cities, and unfortunately they are manipulated by powers that be to do heinous things. And I honestly believe not all of them, but a lot of these people are victims of provocateurs that take advantage of them. If you remember the Project Veritas, that guy that was when they were doing the bird dogging in 2016.
Yeah.
And I can't remember that bastard's name. That guy is one sick man.
Yeah.
And he was saying, we get homeless people, we pay them, we tell them what to say. These are mentally ill people. Hey, I wouldn't want to eat. These people are crazy, but we use them for bird dogging. I mean, if they use them for bird dogging, why wouldn't they use them to create acts of mayhem?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how is the homeless situation in San Diego right now? When I lived in San Diego almost 20 years ago, it was the first time that I had ever truly experienced a homeless population. I mean, driving down the street, people urinating, defecating, and people living in tents and stuff like that. I mean, I've seen a lot of coverage about Los Angeles. Los Angeles just appears to be a giant tent city slum at this point. But San Diego, I mean, it's nice in San Diego, I mean, it wasn't like it is in LA, but I'm wondering how bad it's gotten.
Yeah, since I used to have my office in Mission Valley, which is closer to the airport, so I spend a lot of time downtown. But I do go to downtown. I just stay away from downtown for the most part. I live like way north of downtown. I live north of San Diego, so but it's bad. But I've been spending more time or going through LA for various reasons. I fly to LAX. I just get better rates out of LAX, so it's an hour or a little over an hour from me. So LA is just a hellhole. And San Diego seems as bad as it's always been. I don't necessarily have seen it any worse, but then again, I don't spend a lot of time around the homeless populations. I know where they're at. I know they're just, east of the convention center, and they seem to not be as prevalent when we have Comic-Con for some reason. I don't know what the city does during that time. Or maybe they're cosplaying too, and I can't tell if they're homeless, It's bad in California, but especially San Diego, it's got great weather. But if you've ever been to Hawaii's got a lot of homeless people too. But because of the great weather, a lot of times you can't tell people are homeless, depending if especially if they're not mentally ill and they can kind of fit in a little bit more. You'd be surprised who is and who isn't sometimes, especially at the beach and some other areas.
I mean, Hawaii, because it's such good weather all the time, I mean, it seems like it's an easy place to be homeless. I mean, housing price, we were looking at houses in Hawaii, like just to have fun. And I couldn't believe, $1 million for a shack, it's just incredible. What have you heard about the situation with Julian Assange? Obviously, there's a trial going on right now. We've had a very recent development. Apparently, President Trump, or through surrogates, or directly, I don't know which, he had offered Julian Assange a deal, a complete pardon, and to allow him to come to the United States if he were to just tell them where he got the emails. Obviously, it's not Russia, and I think we all know who it is. I'm just going to say Seth Rich. I mean, that's just seems like a foregone conclusion at this point. But have you heard any information about this?
Well, why would it possibly be Seth Rich, Zach, when Julian Assange said, we protect our sources. You hear about this young man who got shot and offer a reward for him. Why
Mm-hmm.
would anyone think it's Seth Rich?
I know, it's just defies logic, doesn't it?
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, you tinfoil hat people. Yeah, he didn't want to give Seth up. His name is Seth Rich. God bless him. A patriotic Democrat. Imagine that. I mean, I love seeing pictures of this guy. 4th of July, red, white, and blue. He did not belong in the Democrat Party. I wish he were alive so we could save him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't want to give Seth up. You know, he's a journalist. You don't give up your sources, even to the president of the United States. Says a lot about the character of Julian Assange.
Yeah.
We know it was in Russia. He clearly said it was not a state actor. It was not. You know, it was no state sponsored given to him. We know that, and we know that it was an internal job. It wasn't uploaded. I mean, we've got so much information. Not even to talk about that CrowdStrike and all these other people didn't know what the heck they were doing. That nothing is sure. It's all shady. The FBI couldn't see the information. So we know it wasn't Russia. We know it was Seth Rich, and he didn't. I think he didn't want to set a precedent for giving up his sources, and maybe he perhaps played his hand and he lost it. Maybe he thought that I'm not going to accept this, but they'll have something else, and then nothing else ever materialized. And unfortunately, he finds himself incarcerated for being a journalist, which should scare everyone who's a journalist or not. That you know, obviously, other countries, they don't have the same constitutional rights we do, but it's scary to think that if you just expose the truth, you become the criminal.
That's exactly the way it seems. And although I do feel that what they've done to Assange has been extremely heavy-handed, I have to believe that President Trump, you know, this is all part of his deal-making finesse. You know, I mean, he likes to go in there hot and heavy. He's very used to getting what he wants, and quite often he will lean on people, and they will give in. But the fact that he hasn't done it yet, it makes me worried. It makes me worried for Julian's health and safety. It seems that he is the kind of guy who would hold out, he would not give in, and he wouldn't tell, and he would be willing to die upon that hill. Now, what's interesting is that we don't know whether or not Julian Assange actually gave up the information. And you know, only time will tell whether or not he truly did or not. But I swear I'm hoping on you know, just everything that I've got, that he does let us know, gives President Trump and the DOJ the information, and then he can come here and then we can protect him. Because even if they let him go, I mean, you have to believe that there is a variety of governments that would be very interested in swooping in and making him disappear.
Yeah, it's just crazy that an absolute hero of Western culture is being, he's not a criminal, he's an absolute hero. The guy is a hero. I mean, it saddens my heart, the situation that is, and you should, if you think you should see how he's villainized in Europe. It's really you know, as a quasi journalist, I think it's mind-boggling and it's scared. Now it's here's the thing: Julian doesn't have to give it up. Someone else within WikiLeaks can give it up. So Julian Assange can keep his, he can you know, take a stand on that hill and win, and Trump can win as well. So, or you know, the Trump team. And Jared Kushner said something that I hadn't heard in a long time, coming from him. We're talking about these peace deals, and people who don't negotiate and don't do deals for a living, or who haven't done them, or just shy away from them, which is fine. You always say no right before you say yes. So President Trump is a deal maker, and he thinks outside the box. I mean, look how we've had these peace deals. He didn't do it. It was no land for peace. It was there was no, the peace didn't come around through anyone having to their ideological or theological differences. He got peace through economic interest. I hope people understand this, that one of the great things that President Trump did is by making us energy independent, he has lowered the price of oil and has weakened the Middle East economically. They need to do business with Israel if they are going to prosper financially. I mean, these are the kind of 4D chess moves that people don't understand, that, you know, we're freaking out because we've been talking about this and we see it come to fruition. I'm not the originator of that. I heard Steve Bannon talking about that like 2 or 3 years ago, how energy independence will weaken enemy states and would, you know, open them up to other negotiation. I was thinking, hey, that'd be interesting if that would help OPEC have peace. And I expressed that in a video like 2 years ago. and then to actually see it come to fruition, that is the long game that Trump plays in everything.
Absolutely.
In everything. So, especially when you look at state sponsors of terror like Iran, when you look at China, especially China, they play a long game. Folks, we're at 200 and something odd years old. These people they have dynasties.
Mm-hmm.
Like China is dynasties. You can't go in there with a Joe Biden or a Clinton or a Bush mentality. You've got to go with a long game mentality, a very long game mentality. And that is, or at least understanding that's how they play the game. Trump does. And little by little, he weakened China. So as far as Julian Assange, I don't know what I don't know. I just know that President Trump and his advisors are on task. They know how the enemy and opponents are and how they think. And if anyone's read Sun Tzu, then once you know your enemy and how they work, and you get in their mind, you're on your path to victory, at least to a stalemate.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the Democrats and with that Joe Biden and the Democratic leadership. But it seems to me that the Democrats, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, everybody in their leadership are kind of starting to get the picture that the world they were trying to create to make it difficult for President Trump to get reelected is beginning to backfire on them. You've got, record approval of President Trump, not only among just all voters, but also minorities. You've got something like 85% of Black American voters now say they want more police presence because of the riots and everything that's been taking place. Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, they were calling the rioters heroes. Now they're calling for them to be prosecuted. And Joe Biden initially said he wanted to defund the police, and now he's accusing President Trump of wanting to defund the police. What is going on with the Democrats? What do you think's coming up next?
The Democrats, first of all, they played their hand too early. Honestly, let's go with this huge assumption, which is not an assumption, but let's, for the sake of the bots and the sniffers, let's just play devil's advocate and say that this whole entire unwanted Chinese export was a planned biological attack on the Western world, not just the United States, folks. I want people to understand that this was a long, remember, China plays the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the Democrats are Marxist at heart. They are authoritarian. They're tyrants. They were aware of this. Let's not forget that Nancy Pelosi, after holding on to the articles of impeachment, the same day the first case came in the United States, the day before, she said, it's now time to transmit this. Very interesting verb to use. I got my tinfoil hat on, folks. I'm reading into it more than I need to. I understand. Play along with me. So they play their hand too early in the year. The lockdown, 2 weeks until we flatten the curve. We all know that was bullcrap. I told my wife, we're in for a 4 to 6 week haul. I didn't think it'd be this long, but I thought we were into 4 to 6 weeks. But look where we're at right now. And they just dragged it on too long. They played it too early. Let's just say that if they had control over the COVID timing, midsummer would have been better. But they wanted to make things terrible with people in school and what have you. So everything they're doing is failing. If you are a person of faith like I am, people are starting to get a spirit of discernment. They're starting to understand things. Our Father in heaven is kind of helping people see things they hadn't seen before. I mean, it truly is biblical. One of the biblical things that were happening is the awakening of people to the absolute vile, evil, and wicked that's around us. Mm-hmm. And I think that these people who are used to being in the shadows, are used to doing things undercover, I wouldn't say that the sunlight is completely on them, but we can see their shadow from the sunlight where we're at. And people are starting to realize what that shape of that shadow looks like. And they're being exposed. And I think, you've got Nancy coming out going, yes, we need to prosecute. Yeah, we need to prosecute and arrest these people. Yeah, Nancy, you're several months late on this. Same thing with Joe. But Joe, even President Trump says, Joe doesn't know what the heck he's saying or what he's doing. He's a poor child being told and directed at this point. And I don't really feel sorry for him. I know my wife, bless her heart, Christian woman, she says, I feel bad for Joe. I know he's corrupt, but I just feel bad because he's un viejito. He's a little old man in Spanish. He's un tierno viejito. And I'm like, saco, mija. The guy is corrupt. He's wicked. He's vile and evil. And if you want to talk about coming home to roost, so I don't really feel too bad for Joe, but then sometimes I really do, because that's not the same Joe that committed those crimes.
That's exactly where I'm at. I mean, I feel like he's lost a significant portion of his faculties to be able to make a distinction between that younger man who clearly committed some heinous acts and now this older man. I don't know that he remembers what he did. You know, I mean, not that it means that he shouldn't pay for his crimes, but you know, I look at him and I see a tired old man. I see someone who just needs to go take a nap. Let him sit in his lazy boy. Don't keep forcing him out into the public. You know, he hasn't done a rally for more than 100 people in over 6 months. Okay, I mean, he's only performed
the biggest one since Labor Day, 30. I reported on today on my channel. 64 since Labor Day. President Trump, 62,300 odd people. Mm-hmm. You know, we're talking a multiple of almost 10 here between what Joe Biden has been in front of and what President Trump has been in front of. But President Trump is still trying to catch up to Joe Biden in the polls.
Yeah, well, we know the polls don't mean a darn thing. So, so with the Democrats realizing that everything they're doing is not working, I think that they're starting to panic a little bit now that we're getting closer and closer to the reveal of the Durham, whatever it is. It's, you know, a lot of people like to say Durham report. I think there will be a report to accompany the indictments, but I like to think about it as the Durham criminal investigation. What do you think about this impending action that they're asking in the House and the Senate? They're asking the OIG to investigate Durham's activities.
Yeah, the irony of it, of course, it's not lost on those on this channel, the members of the RP78 family, I'm sure. But it's if you were an alien looking down at us, you'd have to laugh comparing the Mueller investigation probe, not based on anything, and being, we can't obstruct it, we must let it go on, to Durham. And not just Durham. Let's not forget, we've got Jensen working on it. We've got Bass. We've got 4 U.S. attorneys that we know of working on this with legitimate things that in the public sphere has already been declassified, like this. Like, thank God for a Rick Grinnell, freaking warrior, and Ratcliffe. That's continuing. So we've got all this stuff in the public sphere, absolute proof of criminal activity, and yet the OIG is supposed to look into this. Mind you, the same OIG that didn't know where Lisa Page's iPhone was, but we're now finding out that someone had it and it had all the paperwork. And interestingly enough, the same IG that didn't tell Mueller, why the heck did you guys have almost 3 dozen phones accidentally wiped? We're supposed to trust that guy with overseeing AG Bill Barr and John Durham. It's absolutely laughable. If it weren't for the fact that our republic is on the line, I would almost call it comedic.
Absolutely. It's a staggering number to think that many people in the DOJ and in the FBI, that excuse me, that many people could forget their passwords and lock their devices and have to have them wiped. That's never happened to me, okay? I've definitely forgotten my password before. But, I mean, there's a real process you have to go through. I mean, you try your password incorrectly a couple of times, it asks you to sit down and wait for another 5 or 10 minutes or something like that.
It's happened to me. When I was a principal manager for this financial firm down in San Diego, I went on vacation and I took my my note with me, and I was on the exchange system for email because we had some stuff I had to do and I couldn't take a true vacation. I had to work a couple of days. So that was right after we had a quinceañera for my daughter when she was 15. When she was 16, we had a sweet 16. And my wife liked the camera on there, so she took a whole bunch of pictures. Well, she was trying to access it, not realizing that I had to change my password to something more difficult since I was now on my work's exchange system for my email. She tried it several times, and it wiped everything. Wow. But literally, she did it over the night and the morning because exactly like you said, Zach, she tried it. It worked. She goes, maybe I forgot it. She logged it to another phone. She goes, I'm pretty sure that's it. And she kept trying it. And then I didn't know that. I grabbed it, tried it 2 or 3 more times, and it wiped it out. So it really takes a lot of effort for that to happen. It doesn't accidentally happen 31 freaking times.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a couple of quick thank yous for the audience. White Hat, good to see you, buddy. He says that Barrett is my guest for Supreme Court. Amy Coney Barrett, that's actually my pick as well. I couldn't remember her name when we were looking through the list, but he says, don't forget, we can have an acting FBI director, Grinnell. Wait, don't forget, we can have acting FBI director Grinnell, then Flynn after the election. Much love, BCP and Red. This is a perfect timing on this because I wanted to ask you about President Trump putting forth that list of potential FBI directors. It sounds like he's probably going to fire Christopher Wray.
Yeah, Christopher Wray's a long time coming. I don't know, I know a lot of people who's, and their favorite anon are all about trusting Wray. I would always think that if you were to believe that it would be trust Wray to be Wray, to trust the swamp to do swampy things. Mm-hmm. I would interpret that to trust that person to do the right thing. Just trust them to do what they're going to do.
Exactly.
And that their true nature is known. That's how I would interpret that if you follow the much maligned anon.
Yes.
Now, but Wray has been, this has been a long time coming. I've always had like this fantasy that it would eventually be Lieutenant General Flynn in there. Like that would be poetic justice, like karma 1000. That'd be platinum level karma move, much deserved. Even though I'd like to see him more in a national security role, knowing what he knows about the child diddler networks and all of that, it would be nice to have him in a law enforcement as well, really coordinating the big takedown of all the peds and what have you.
I agree
with
you there.
Code. People understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
I did, and I completely agree with you on Wray. I mean, in my mind, it was always President Trump has a history of putting useful idiots into a position where he can take advantage of whatever it is that he needs to use them for. So I trust POTUS's judgment. Therefore, I trust Christopher Wray to be the part of the machine that President Trump wanted him to be. So doesn't mean Wray is a good guy. Definitely don't think that. I need to say thank you to Legal Shield and also to Express Online Learning. Thank you very much to both of you guys. And then somebody says, between us. Thank you very much for that. You know who you are. Rita, let's see. Please know that you are respected, and I think very highly of your viewpoints. I don't post or even have a Twitter account, but I do follow many. You and Methods and Inevitable are my favorites. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Rita. And then also, let's see. Jared says, hey, Z, what do you know about the tax holiday we're expecting from Trump's executive order? Because currently I'm still paying the federal government without any change, and I don't even make half of the $100,000 cap. I may have been mistaken, but I thought it was supposed to go into effect in August. What's the deal? Thanks, brother. Where we go on, we go all. BCP, being someone from the background that you are, do you have any insight on that? Because this is actually not the first time I've heard this. I've had several people come to me and ask me, what's the deal with that tax holiday that President Trump had promised us?
From what I don't have any information on that. When it comes to I know he's being opposed by the Democrats. First of all, they haven't had any kind of deal, and I'm still unsure what kind of actions the executive branch, the IRS, can take unilaterally. So I really don't have an answer to that. I know that that's supposed to happen. Yeah. I don't know the mechanisms of it either. And because, I'm in California, so I won't say anything more than that. But how I pay my employees, we don't have to worry about that.
All right. Now, Hey Jude had said also on that Bill Binney feed, someone asked if they had Hillary's deleted emails. He replied, yes. Yes, Bill Binney mentioned the other day, I did a video about it, mentioned that if the federal government wants to get all of that data that was wiped by the Mueller team and their associates, all they have to do is jump into the NSA's Stellar Wind database, which captures all of the upstream and downstream SMS text messages in America. So clearly, all that information is there. Also, he stated that Hillary's emails would also be in that that pile of data. And obviously our favorite Anon has said on a number of occasions, we have it all, we've got everything. And that's kind of what I've always expected, that the information would be there if they wanted to go ahead and look for it. It would be pretty obvious. So why do you think they wouldn't just bring that information out? I mean, clearly it's there. It would be super easy to go ahead and just get it that way. The only thing I can think of is that they don't want to overtly just show the American public, how easy it is to just get that data, because then I think a lot of people would stop communicating.
Yeah. First of all, they wiped all the information and they bleach bitted everything, and everything they did was to just make it more difficult. It's like the old adage that, fences and doors just keep honest people honest. It's a deterrent, but not to make it a little harder to get the information. I think for the most part that whoever needs to have the information has access to the information. And once the domino starts falling, we're going to see that was pretty evident. At this point, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I think it's necessary because I think full disclosure is important in a free society. But as far as what their interpretation of it is, hey, we're building a case. No need for this to go public until the indictments happen, until we may see in the report there that, hey, yeah, we've had access to information and that helped us build our case. And like you, Zach, I believe that they will have to eventually give a report to justify in the minds of others the reason for these indictments. And we'll probably see a lot of information that we don't know right now, where it came from, how they got it. And I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing some of these types of things, some of this data that we're not aware of, but that they used to build their case.
Well, and the longer that they have the information and they do the investigation around it, these people lie, they continue to make false statements, they continue to commit crimes, thinking that they're in the clear. It can just add to the charges that they can bring to them once they do release the information. Now, Melissa Callie in the chat said that she has the goods on the tax information. We are going to be doing a call-in here in the second half of the program in about 15 minutes, so just be ready. Melissa, if you call in at the beginning of the call-in, I'll go ahead and take your call first. Okay, so ZooQ, thank you very much for that donation. Also, thank you to Kyle. He says, thanks for all the amazing content. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you. And Lisa says, thanks for an awesome show. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us. I appreciate you guys being here with us. So the next subject that I wanted to talk about was the arrest of Steve Bannon and Brian Colfage, triple amputee veteran. Very shocking development. When their portion of the wall was first starting to be built, there was some amount of controversy because GoFundMe initially canceled their campaign. I think they had to raise the money another way. And one of the big things about
I think I got a refund back when I originally gave money on that.
That's right. Yeah, you would have. So then you would have had to go and donate to them directly, outside of the GoFundMe scheme. But they did state that all of the money donated was going to go towards building the wall. Now, does that mean 100% materials? Does that mean paying people for their time and being involved with it? Steve Bannon, he was on Tucker Carlson breaking his silence the other night, and he said that he had a $1 million contract. His contract was for promotion and, some type of public outreach to let people know that the campaign was going on. And so he signed, he was paid $1 million, but the government is clearly going after he and Brian and these other people, in my opinion, because they're associated with President Trump, much like the same way they've done with everybody else. I mean, what do you think's going on with We Build the Wall?
Yeah. I mean, that's obvious. It's a political, it's politically motivated. It is the wall, a hot issue. It is President Trump. It is Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, I don't know if he's been giving some back. He's not actively involved in the campaign, but that's not saying that he can't be like an off the record or off the books type of advisor to President Trump. I mean, he helped in 2016. I'm sure his insight is probably valuable for 2020 as well. So yeah, it's an absolute political hit job. It's coming from, first of all, from the minute I saw it come out, I go, let's see, did this originate in New York? Looking down, yeah, came out of Southern District of New York. So, I mean, look who's come out of there: Comey, Lynch. I mean, it's just that is a swamp breeding ground. Mm-hmm. And then they get them with the U.S. Postal Service inspectors on a yacht in Connecticut. They knew he was going to be on the yacht. They could have gotten the day before. They could have gotten the day after. But it fits the narrative that the Postal Service got him on a yacht in Connecticut. Folks, Steve Bannon was in investment banking. Okay, you make lots of money in investment banking. You make lots of money in investment banking. I left investment banking because the draw of the money wasn't there for me, because you have triple buy hard. It's a terrible lifestyle. It's a terrible lifestyle. But I don't usually share this, but just to give people an example of how ridiculous, not that no one's going to sneeze at $1 million. Okay. But I was 4 months into this firm. On top of my salary, my first commission for the smallest deal that was done was $80,000.
Oh, wow.
You know, okay, so when you're at the level of the big guys, these guys are making buku bucks, all right? And I'm not saying that $1 million isn't a lot, because obviously it was a lot, and Steve Bannon took it for, you know, as a contract, but he didn't need that money to be on a yacht balling, okay? He has money already, well invested. It's like trying to get Steve Mnuchin on something. Like, the guy is worth so much money and so smart that, you know, what you and I, as middle class and working class and broke people, we choke on when we see as a bill, it's nothing to these people. And so the whole thing was obviously a political setup. And once again, they didn't get the mileage out of it they were hoping to. It hit and then it died out. Especially Steve Bannon is a person that's not universally liked in the conservative community. A lot of people don't like him. He's a little crass. He's a little rough around the edges. You know, he doesn't smell good, look good, and is pretty. And but read his stuff and listen to what he says. The guy truly is. He comes from, you know, as much as I love and revere and honor Andrew Breitbart, when it comes to smarts, Steve Bannon is on a whole other level, above what Andrew Breitbart was. So it's going to backfire on them. He's got the arsenal to go after them, and he said he will. So it's going to make for at least some good political theater, legal and political theater.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know, and as if it's some kind of a sin to have made enough money to, you know, buy a yacht. You know, I mean, if the guy can afford a yacht, let him buy a yacht. You know, I mean, and all I can say is I hope they arrest Nancy Pelosi on her vineyard. Okay, you know, I mean, I bet you she's got a yacht. There's probably something going on there.
And you've got to enjoy, like, I want to just tell the whole story about, like, I was in investment banking for, it was after 9/11, and it was a very, very hectic time to be in it. And, like, I was not in it for the money. There's no way. When you're in investment banking, you want to enjoy your toys, because it's not hard labor. But if you're in investment banking and you're doing anything international, I only did it nationwide, you've got to cover your private equity groups in the East Coast and in the West Coast, and heaven forbid Hawaii. You're working 12-hour days.
Wow.
So when you play, it's work hard, play hard. I lasted 1 year, and I said I don't want to have a coronary at the age of 35, and I left. The money's not everything. So
yeah.
But you know, but if you make a lot of money, this is America. Don't be a hater. Go make your own money. This is America. There's no reason to be hate. That's Marxist. That's a Marxist thought, and that is what's planted, unfortunately, in the heads of people, are to be haters and jealous and think that they got over on somebody because of their entrepreneurial spirit. That's just jealousy, and that's wrong. And jealousy is one of those cardinal sins, and envy, for a reason, because it lends people to do things, including murder and kill and scheme and plot to take people out because they have something they don't. You don't believe me? Look at the riots.
Absolutely. So with the situation in regards to the beer bug, we touched on it a little bit, but very recently the CDC came out with some numbers that I don't think shocked any of us in our community. Somewhere around 9,000 people passing away directly as a result of the beer bug. Everybody else had like 2 to 3 different comorbidities. You know, they probably would have expired either way, it looks like. Now, obviously, the United States has been hit pretty hard. Despite everything that's happened because of this pandemic and the shutdown, America's in pretty good shape. President Trump has really kept it together. I think that we could have been in a far worse position. There are definitely some people who are hurting. The Democrats are not being helpful at all. They are not allowing the president and the Republicans to pass another stimulus bill and get some, some checks into people's hands, help them out. A lot of people are upset about having to do any stimulus at all, but I say, let's keep America on their feet. There's no reason to let everybody have their businesses destroyed because the Democrats are helping out with this artificial pandemic. But now the situation has kind of broken water there in Nashville because the city government there was found to be conversing back and forth and admitted to each other that the number of deaths in bars and restaurants was very low, something like, a couple dozen, maybe 22, something like that.
Heaven forbid we're not getting enough deaths.
Yeah. And they didn't want people to know because they didn't want people to realize how badly they'd been screwed. Okay, all of those businesses that will never open. I have no idea how many businesses countrywide are just done, how many people's dreams have been shattered, how many life savings has been spent because they were trying to keep that business open long enough for the pandemic to be over. And now people in Nashville are upset. And I'm thinking that this is going to start spilling over into other cities because this is the kind of thing right here that people realize they've been completely fleeced on. Take a look at Pelosi in San Francisco. I think that based upon her visiting that salon, they've been forced to open the salons and these other businesses there. San Francisco was one of the last places in California, if I'm not mistaken, which had the really, really draconian shutdown rules. What do you think is going on?
Going on in general? Well, first of all, the Nashville thing I'm sure we're going to find out more about that than in other places. I was trying to find, do you have it in front of you, the actual emails?
Yeah, I've got them. Let me get this pulled up. So they're talking about the total number of cases.
I don't want to spend time looking up. I don't want to get distracted looking it up, but if I encourage everyone to read it. You get the exactly the spirit of these people. They don't care about you. They don't care about your economy. They don't care about your family. They care about a narrative and power. And that I would encourage people to go and look at that news for themselves so they can see the level of evil and wickedness. And I'm not a prophet here. I'm not Jeremiah sitting here and telling you, gloom and doom and, what's going to happen to Israel if you don't repent. But this is what, but this is an insight into the evil that is pervasive in governments, big and small. When you are lamenting that not enough people died and there might be pushback against you, if the truth comes out that the numbers don't look good enough to continue your scare tactic and to justify, lockdowns and closed businesses. And remember, it's not just lives that have been destroyed, livelihoods. And when you destroy people's livelihoods, you do destroy their lives. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a glimpse in Nashville, what we know has been nationwide, and hopefully other people will come out and expose it nationwide. So people in every neck of the woods and every part of this great land, this great republic, the United States of America, can see that government, big and small, are full of corrupt people. And that is why we should go back to a constitutional, small federalist system.
All right, I like it. Okay, you guys, we're about to open up the phones. I just want to let you know we've got just over 6,000 people here with 2,600 likes. If you haven't yet, please consider leaving the like. It really helps the algorithm. Think about sharing it. We've still got another hour left in the program. BCP, once again, thank you so much for being here, my friend. I really appreciate it. You guys, I have put the information for the calls right here on the screen. If you've got a phone and you can call in, then go ahead. If you want to join via the Zoom app, you just click that link right there. Have the Zoom app installed on your phone, and it'll bring you right into the conversation. All right, so also getting back to COVID, the press for a long time maintained that we could not have public gatherings because public gatherings would result in more cases of the beer bug. And then we started having riots all across the country, and nary a peep from the media about public gatherings. And we even had people like Gretchen Whitmer and Mayor Ted Wheeler, all of these Democratic darlings going out onto the streets and joining in, and nothing happened to them. Nobody caught an extra case. And I certainly haven't heard anything about rioters flaring up and having cases of CV-19. But
because COVID only hits if you are a Trump supporter.
That's
Come on,
right.
Zach, you know this. Yeah, we can have kumbaya. We can be out there twerking twerking at a riot. No mask. We can be having. Are you feeling it, folks? We could be having an absolute peaceful protest, burning things down, but because we are expressing our right to be unhappy about injustice. See, what happens is if you have a righteous rage against perceived injustices, that is actually the cure for COVID. See, people don't understand this. The actual cure for COVID is to be against police brutality. Now, the antithesis of that is if you like Trump, you're more susceptible to the bug. Therefore, you cannot go to rallies.
And, if you are Joe Biden, you are a lot more susceptible to the virus, I guess, as well, because he's been holed up in his basement, clearly getting confused. The teleprompter. Did you see his, what was his campaign manager or something? He refused to answer whether or not Joe Biden was reading from a teleprompter. I mean, it's right there. It's on screen. It's in green.
He wouldn't answer it. And yeah, I made a video on that showing the when he shows the pictures of his children, there is a reflection of the teleprompter and the script right there. And with what's his name is James Carden, and he goes, move it over. And just as he moves it over, I mean, that was like, he wanted to see all three kids. Just as he moved it over, that perfect angle. There's things like that happen that I don't really mix religion with my channel, but there's some times where you go, that sure seems like providence.
That's right.
That sure seems like providence to me.
A little bit intervention from our creator. All right, we've got 11 people waiting on the line. Let's go ahead and bring our first caller in. I'm looking for you, Melissa Callie. Let's get the lowdown on what's going on with that tax holiday, because I know that Real Red Pill Girlfriend definitely wanted to know what the scoop was. Melissa Callie joining us from the Sunshine State, just waiting for her microphone to get on. Truth Seeker 7 says Biden is oxygen deprived. I think he's deprived of a lot right now. Joe Biden is not in a good spot. And if he, oh man, I can only imagine. Did you see, I'm sure you saw the other day that he called it the Harris-Biden administration, and then I believe she did as well.
Yes, yeah, I think she did first, and then he did, yeah. The predictive programming, perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely no way that Joe Biden is going to make it into the White House. All right, you guys, just around 6,000 people here, 3,000 likes. Thank you for giving a couple extra ones there. Melissa, is your microphone ready?
Hey guys, can you hear me now?
Yes,
hey,
we
Melissa.
can.
Big hug. Love the Trump flag.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. What's going on? Can you hear us?
Hi, how are you?
Doing good.
All right, so here's this deal with this Social Security tax deferment. So the reason why people aren't getting any relief is because the companies are choosing not to give it to their employees. And the reason being is because they're terrified if they don't pay the taxes that their government's going to make them pay it in January. And if the employee leaves, they're going to be on the hook for paying those taxes. So because I actually was involved in payroll for years, I did a little bit of research. What they could have offered if they spent the time to think about it was give an agreement to the employee saying, hey, I'm responsible for these taxes if we have to pay them back. If I decide to leave, the money's going to get taken out of my last check, for instance. So an agreement absolutely could have been made between these employees and employers. But because it's Social Security only, it's freaking out the companies, and so they're not doing it.
What about people who are self-employed, Melissa? Is that going to make a difference when it comes around for me to file as a self-employed person?
So self-employed, because you're not taking the money out, unless you're paying quarterly, for instance.
Yeah.
And in some states, we have 13.5% income tax here in California. So we have to pay no matter what. So some people, if they're independent contractors, they actually pay quarterly what they think they should pay. Others pay at the end of the year when they file their taxes. So if that's the case, come January, they just wouldn't pay. If come January we had to pay that back because it is a deferment, it isn't a a cancellation of it. They're just putting it off until January. So it would be from now until January. You wouldn't pay the Social Security portion, which, you know, comes out to about a couple $100 or so. From now until January, somebody making $52,000 a year, it would put that $1,200 in their pocket, which would take the place of the stimulus check.
Yeah, I mean, I normally would be paying. If
Trump's not there, we'd have to pay it back.
I normally would be paying quarterly, but I mean, because they were telling everybody not to pay taxes, I was like, well, if I don't have to, I'm just going to keep saving and just I'll take care of it in January, you know?
And Trump will get elected, and it's not going to be a big deal, and it'll be a little bit of extra cash in your pocket. I'm a single mom, so I wanted to know what the deal was, and I was a little bit pissed off, you know, when I wasn't seeing the savings. In fact, my company still owes me money for my salary deferment for 4 months, but hey, I continue to work. I'm actually close to BCP. I'm right on the Orange County San Clemente line here, right next to Camp Pendleton.
So what happens if, when it comes time to file for your tax return, if the companies have not been giving you the holiday right now during the year, are people going to get a larger refund when they file their taxes? I mean, because President Trump has already said you don't have to pay us that money.
Yeah, exactly. So you would either pay less if you usually pay money at the end of the year, or you would get a bigger refund if you usually get a refund back.
Okay. All right.
And
so people will see that money eventually if they're
like I said, based on 50,000, and then it goes up to 100,000. So anybody under 100,000 would benefit from this. Okay. If you're unemployed, you're fine, but if you're in a company, especially these bigger companies, they don't want to risk it.
All right.
Well, the big payroll companies like what's that? APT or whatever, ATP. They're the ones not ADT. Doing it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because even on my company uses a company called Paycom, and when I went to adjust and say that I had more independence so I could get less money taken out, and now they actually have warnings that says, you know, if you're fraudulently going to change the number of dependents just to get more money, then you could be fined $500. I'm like, are you serious? This was not up there a couple weeks ago. So they're definitely getting a lot of people who are trying to play a little bit with those that amount, you know. But
all right, sweet.
We just keep busy doing other things, like part of the Recall Gavin Newsom campaign. We have half the signatures now. We need 1.5 million to get him recalled by November 17th. We have 80,000 volunteers. That's less than 19 signatures each. And we're out there every Sunday at numerous locations. Just come up and sign the petition, and we can recall him just like Gray Davis in 03.
All right. If we have any California Patriots watching right now, how can they get involved with that directly? Because Gavin Newsom ought to be recalled.
Recall Gavin 2020.
Recall
and
Gavin
if you
2020.
see a little recall booth, we're all over the place. You know, if you see a little place that says sign the petition, just go and sign it, because this is the third attempt at the petition. Mm-hmm. But we have so much overwhelming support, considering all of our children have been out of school since March 13th. I have my son working way at my office. He's doing his freshman year from my office remotely, and it's a nightmare. And we have the parent support now of Democrats. I'm part of a local campaign here. Commander Aaron Washington is pro-law and order, and he's for San Clemente City Council. And I had to jump in on a local level because the teachers' unions are so twisted here after participating in all the board meetings. You know, even when these kids go back to school, they only want to have them in for 2.5 days versus 5. Mm-hmm. And they want to completely gut our curriculum and take away history class and do the justice warrior stuff. And the sex ed is unbelievable. I've signed my kid out for 7th and 8th grade. But we are getting a louder voice because people are more aware of it. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, keep it up, Melissa. I appreciate the information. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. God bless. Have a beautiful night.
God bless. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. All right, you guys. So I seen several people in the chat saying that Ilhan Omar was shot on television. 2 aides for the challenger to Ilhan Omar were shot a couple of days ago. One of them was killed. They were shot in front of a gas station. I believe they were both African-American gentlemen. And one guy is dead. The other guy's not. I can't find anything saying that Ilhan Omar was shot on stage. But if she was, then that would clearly be, in my mind, a way for them to try to turn her into some kind of a martyr to make sure that she'll get elected. I think she will be reelected because there is quite the Somali population there in that area where she's running again. Okay, so let's go ahead and go with Sweta. Bring Sweta in. And now it's interesting, she brought up the fact that they are going to be canceling history classes because President Trump just signed that 1776 initiative. We'll get your thoughts on that in just a moment. Sweta, what's going on?
Yeah, hi, Redkit.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
So my
what's on your
question
mind?
So my question for BCP is, now, him being in, BCP, you being in California, have you actually seen those, because most people have just seen pictures where, the car is, all molten and everything. But the trees are just standing without, any problem, without any signs of burn and everything. But the cars, the glass is molted, the rubber, the tires are gone. Have you actually seen and taken pictures yourself of, because a lot of people, they say that these are fake pictures and everything, but have you actually, since you being in California and everything, did you actually happen to see a location where this, and taking pictures yourself?
I haven't. That's a fair and excellent question. I have not, but I've seen many, and I have seen some posted on my personal Facebook from people that have had curious pictures. I know that it is possible that they're doctored or what have you. That's the narrative. I've seen so many. And of course, I can't believe everything is on Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook very often. This is more of the fires from a few years ago. I had seen some that people were like, hey, this is curious. And in their neighborhood, literally houses burnt down, but the shed next to it not, but the car on the other side burnt. So how does a fire jump from a car over a shed to a house? I mean, just curious things like that.
I saw this was a famous one, but the Arby's surrounded by trees was burned down, but all of the foliage, all the bushes, all the trees surrounding it, just completely untouched. Not even flames licking the insides of the bushes. But, that's just not something that you're going to see, I mean, how does no vegetation burn, but then only the buildings are the ones that are burning down? It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
All right, Sweta. Any other questions for BCP?
Just an observation from what Melissa said. Even if they're adding, this justice warrior things in the curriculum for children, why remove history?
Well, they want to change. They want to change history, so they want to erase it from the curriculum, because if we don't understand our history, we don't know what's happened in the past, then clearly we're going to be doomed to repeat it. And they can also tell people that, America is an evil nation, they make it appear that America never did anything good. All we did was own slaves. All we did was, lynch people and kill people. Never mind the fact that America has had a hand in setting many nations free, helping rebuild nations that we even went to war with. I think they would go ahead and remove that altogether. Now, the 1776 initiative that I brought up, this is going to mandate that the teachers and students are going to have to be taught patriotic education, which is a great thing. BCP, what do you think about that 1776 initiative?
Well, I think I like the fact of the name. The 1776 is a total opposite of the 1619 project, where they wanted to make the emphasis that America started when the first black slaves were landed in Virginia, were brought in from Africa. As a black American, it's been mind-boggling to me since I grew up. My epiphany, my awakening. I mean, people would laugh. Like if I could bring 18-year-old BCP right now in this, and he had the knowledge, because I was pretty politically minded. I've always been. My family, we would sit around the dinner table and we would talk politics since I was 11, 12 years old, always liked current events. So it's always been mind-boggling to me as a black person since I matured at the age of 18 as a UC Berkeley freshman, that you would live in a negative past to build your future. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Slavery existed. We know it existed. It was corrected. It was an ill that was corrected. It was an ill that was fought by the founding fathers. It was a hotly contested subject at the time of its happening. Of course, that's left out of revisionist history. Mm-hmm. The Three-Fifths Compromise. Oh, it's because that was the only way that could be perceived, that they could get this thing, this constitution, this union started, if they appeased for a while. Read the writings, folks. So founding fathers like, let's appease these Southern agriculturalists, and let's get, we'll do the compromise, whatever. We'll fix this later. And they did. It took a little bit longer than they wanted to. So why would someone want to live in a negative past? Why? Because it feels good to a lot of people to be a victim, to be weak, and what have you. And that's the curriculum, Sweeter, that they want to teach people. They want to teach people that America is bad, that we're all victims, and that this is a terrible country. Why? Because first of all, a lot of these people are sick individuals, as far as they have a envy, jealousy, hatred complex of America. And when people are miserable, misery loves company, and they want to spread that misery to our children. And plus, it gives them power. You will never, if you are a weak person, you will never be empowered by empowering other people. When you are truly a true leader, when you have self-esteem and you are empowered, you don't look to crush people, you look to empower other people. But unfortunately, the people that go into the public school system, God bless, many of them, I can't even say most of them, really. Many of them are good people. They want to help our children or whatever. But for many of them, it's a paycheck. And many of them have come, if they're in education, they bought into the education that they've received, and there are Marxists at heart. Mm-hmm. So what will we trust a Marxist to be a Marxist? And when they can't have their way, they take their toys away, and that's what they want to do with history. Oh no, yeah. We can't have Project 1619. No history for nobody.
All right, Sweeta, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate you calling in. You guys, we've got 13 people waiting on the line, so we're going to try to get to everybody, so please understand.
Are we having fun? I can't see the chat room. Are people enjoying this?
Oh, yeah, everybody is enjoying it.
It's a Friday night. I want us to have fun.
Yeah.
Politics can be... So if I'm a little goofier or wackier than usual, that's how I am on these live things. It's, I let my hair down. Hey, Kathy.
Kathy, we're just waiting on your microphone. Kathy, are you there? Can you hear us? All right, Kathy is connecting to the audio. We've got 5,800 people here, 3,474 likes. Thank you very much if you have liked the program. Thank you to everybody who has participated in the calls. Kathy, I don't. You're not looking at us, so I don't know if you can even hear us. So what we're going to do is bring in the next caller, and whoever gets their microphone on first, we will take that caller. You know the thing. You know the thing. Kathy, can you hear us? Yeah, we need your microphone to work, Kathy. Yep. I think this happened last time, Kathy. Yeah, it says it's connecting. If your microphone is still connecting by the time that you know the thing, here comes Kathy's husband. How you doing? Hope you guys are having a great night. Okay, you know the thing. His microphone is connected, so we're going to take them while we're waiting for your microphone to work. You know the thing. Are you there?
That is definitely a play on the Biden gap machine.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What's going on, man? What's on your mind tonight?
Just wanted to say my wife calls me Mr. Amazing.
Good to hear from you.
Yes, the Zak attack.
Yeah, that's me, man. When I was a kid, that's when those Lego commercials came out, and I used to hear it.
Heck yeah. Well, right off of what you guys were just talking about, and with school and everything, I will say this. What I learned after school, and, obviously later in years, finding out, I'd go through years of school, and then I'd watch a 5-minute video from Carol Swain in Prager University on YouTube, and I learned more about my American history in that 5-minute video. And if anyone is wondering, it's called The Democratic Party, An Inconvenient Truth.
Yes.
And watch that. It's like 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and I promise you're probably going to learn more in that video than you learned whenever you were going through public school. But the reason I called, I had two things that I wanted to get to. One of them was about the voting, and the other one was about the riots.
Okay.
And then I have like a quick comment at the end to kind of wrap everything up. But as far as the voting, people in this country fought, and some of them died for our right to vote as citizens of this great nation. The Revolutionary War, the 15th Amendment that gave African Americans the right to vote, and the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote. The Dems touted the election integrity over this Russiagate nonsense that election interference is going to be the biggest end-all be-all for our nation as we know it. But the Dems don't even care about anyone's actual right to vote if they're not going to vote their way, which is also the reason why they're trying to get illegals voting. No one ever mentions this, but there are parameters to being able to vote in the first place. You got to prove that you're over 18. You have to show that you're voting in the correct precinct, that you're also a United States citizen. You know, ask a leftist if it would be okay for an American to go to Mexico and vote in one of their elections, and they would say no and probably call you an American colonialist elitist or some crap. You know, but I really want people to understand this. The Dems are so corrupt that they're willing to give the right to vote of Africans Americans that they claim to be the party for. However, they are leaving in droves with the Blexit and the hashtag walkaway movements and all that kind of stuff. And these Democrats are willing to give those 15th and 19th Amendment rights to the people who are not even U.S. citizens. Mm-hmm. Really and truly comprehend that fact of being so corrupt that they're willing to literally screw over their actual community of citizens just for their own power. That's corruption at the highest level.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And,
all right. So what was your second point?
As far as the riots go, and just for a quick background for context, in my business law class and even in my boat captaining classes, because there are certain national and international maritime laws that you have to be aware of, you learn that every single word in the sentence matters. For example, there's a difference between should and shall, because one of those means you must and the other one doesn't.
Right.
Know? But the mayors of these and the other city leaders, and I'm doing air quotes when I say the word leaders, need to be arrested and prosecuted for aiding and abetting felony criminal behavior. People are literally dying in the streets because of their direct actions and the decisions that these leaders are in violation of their duty to protect the lives, safety, and well-being of the people in their own communities. Mm-hmm. In particular, when the mayor of Seattle not only allowed people to create their own quote-unquote nation in the middle of her city and tell police that they're not allowed to intervene, and then not only that, people literally got shot and were murdered, and she's sending in effing, I know it's a family show, I'm not going to curse, I'm getting a little wound up here.
Thank you.
But she's sending in porta potties and city workers that taxpayers are paying people to go in and clean their mess.
Meanwhile, black kids are getting shot, women are being raped on the streets, people are being extorted, businesses are shut down. Jenny Durkin potentially being brought up on charges by the DOJ. Bill Barr certainly considering that fact. BCP, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I think the sooner that we recognize that these people never cared about black people, never cared about Mexicans, never cared about women, never cared about any of their constituents. What they cared about was the power, the prestige, the opportunity to commit their pervy and all kinds of heinous crimes against humanity with impunity, and to be able to make money hand over fist. These people are thieves. They do not work for what they earn. They want to tax you, and they want to get into those tax funds, paying them and get paid by their lobbyists and the people that support them. it never was about us, the constituents. Anytime they talk about caring about Black people or Hispanics, it's just to get votes. And the proof is in the pudding. They never even go to those communities except on election year.
Absolutely.
So we shouldn't be surprised by any of these things that they do or say. What we should be surprised is that we finally get to see the true nature of who and what they are.
Yeah, fully exposed. You know the thing. This is going to be your final spot here. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay, not only were they aiding and abetting, but they were also, all of this major unrest started over this George Floyd movement. And one of the things that they keep talking about out there is we need to hold the police accountable for their actions. Well, let me ask you this, geniuses. What happens, and you saw this on video with Chaz, where the guy goes walking up and their new police force guy is sitting there with a AR-15. And he's like, yeah, this and that and the other thing, and I have this issue going on. And the guy is like, okay, well, get the F out of my face. How are you going to hold these people who are non-police officers, not actually police officers, accountable legally? And whenever you're supposed to be, hey, that guy just stole my wallet, and the new police officer goes over and grabs the guy's wallet, and then he effing keeps it and walks off.
Yep.
And do you remember how they actually went to the business owners and the citizens right there in their new little Chaz area and started extorting them for quote unquote protection money?
Oh yes, yep, extorting for protection money. The thing is, there will be no accountability, because once the power is passed from the police to these new, death squads, I mean, that's it. Take a look at what happened in China, take a look at what happened in Russia. Millions and millions and millions of people dead, no accountability, and that's what we have waiting for us in America under democratic rule. You know the thing. Thank you very much for the call, brother. I appreciate it.
Roger that. Love you guys. Have a good evening.
Love you too, brother. Say hi to your wife. Thank you. Oh, Mr. Amazing. He always says Mr. Amazing. Okay, Kathy, I'm going to ask you to unmute. It should ask you on your screen to unmute. You did it. What's going on, Kathy? Finally. What's on your mind?
Kathy.
Well, first of all, I need to apologize to you for a few weeks back. My grandson's Zoom put up his name instead of
no apologies necessary.
I couldn't figure it out, and I'm sitting there going, cut it. Anyway, I need to apologize for that.
No worries.
That was really embarrassing. But now my husband tonight has explained this Zoom to me, which, being an old grandma, so BCP, I'm happy to see you online because I love to watch you morning and evening every day.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that.
One of the hardest working men on YouTube.
I swear, I love you guys both.
Thank you.
And Red Pill, you too. So what I'd like to say is I live in the present state of Washington state.
Are you near any fires?
We did have some fires close by. Actually, one of them did start because we had a really weird windstorm come through. Threw a tree in a power line, took out 5 houses. Sad.
Wow, that's bad.
Then again, we have a videotape of people pulling up and trying to start fires in fields. So we do have some
arson.
Deranged people out here.
Hey, Kathy, I'm sorry. Many people in the chat have said, BCP, your most recent video is showing as private. Did you private it, or did YouTube censor your video? June, there you go.
I privated it because it went up, and on my end, I had it playing in the background, and people have complained. Some people have seen this where there's no audio, or it buffers for a long time, and I don't want to give my secrets away, but I know what YouTube is up to when that happens.
Okay.
And I take the video down.
Okay. All right. So
it'll be up tomorrow. I'm on here, so all I do is I just private it. I'll deal with it later.
Okay. You will be able to watch his video tomorrow, you guys. Or perhaps
later. But yeah. So that's intentional on my end, because they're doing some shenanigans. And
okay,
I've got little matrices to figure things out that I monitor, and when I see them,
you need to give me your secrets after the show. We won't divulge it on air. Okay, Kathy, I'm sorry. Continue.
No, that's okay. I was just wanting to mention that in Washington State, we have a governor who took his apples from his estate on the western side over to the folks that got burned down on the eastern side, took maggot infested apples. Yeah, it's a huge thing here in this state. Western Washington is apple country. Washington apples, right?
Yeah.
So there's a quarantine. You do not take apples from Western Washington up over the Cascades into Eastern Washington. So our dumb shit governor took boxes full. They're trying to track down who got these apples, and it's a little bit of a scandal in this state.
Is it just maggots, or are the apples apparently infected with the beer bug?
Well, no, actually, it's the beer bug. No, the apples in Western Washington have an infestation of these stupid little maggots.
So it's a blight on the crops. They're bringing it from the west to the east. I see. I'm a little slow on the uptake sometimes there, Kevin.
Our dumb shit governor took boxes of apples over to the clean side of the state.
Wow, great job, Inslee. Great job.
Yeah. God.
All right, what else is on your mind, Kathy?
Oh, well, no, not much else, but I love watching you guys, and I just wanted to apologize for a few weeks ago, so...
It's no problem. It's no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling in. I'm glad we got it to work tonight, okay?
I'm glad I figured this out.
All right. Well, now that you got it figured out, you'll be able to do it every weekend. So I appreciate the call, hon. And thank you to your husband as well, okay?
Love you guys.
Love you too. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, awesome. Good stuff. All right, guys, let's see. Who else we got on the line now? I want to try to get some people who we have not had on the show. Hang 10 Alien Surfer. That's a name I have not seen before. We're going to bring them in. Maybe some tinfoil hat questions here. I'm good with that. All right. Now, while we're waiting for Hang 10 Alien Surfer to get in here, Freddie. Thank you very much, Freddie, on PayPal. Airborne Defense says, love you guys. Hello, Red Pill 78 and Red Pill 78 girlfriend and Mrs. BCP. God bless. Where we go one, we go all. Also, thank you to Douglas. Hello, hello, BCP. Big fan. Good show, Red Pill. BCP, like to see you collaborate more. This is a busy man here. You heard all those travel plans that he's got. So I'm lucky that I was able to get him on again before the election. So yes, I anytime you want to collab, BCP, I'm totally down. Legal Shield is Q-Wife MAGA Life. Please tell BCP that Tim and Lori send their love, and also that we love seeing the kids doing a fantastic job along with him. I have to say, BCP, that is probably one of the coolest parts about your channel, is that it's a collaborative effort between you and the whole family.
Yeah, it's been really cool, especially having BCP Junior #2. I got to come up with better names, I guess, later. Obviously, I want to protect. I've got 4 kids. 2 boys and 2 girls, so
that's great.
So I don't know, I'm just not very original when it comes like Junior and Juniorette works well, but then Junior #2 kind of got shafted because Junior's already taken, and it's funny because Junior #2 actually has my name, so I guess technically, where he has my name as a middle name. So it's been great, and it's allowed me. That's why I've been able to do on generally 2 videos a day, because I would not at all be able to do 2 videos a day if I had to edit 2 videos a day. Anyone who knows to do this, that is a huge part of it, and I'm not good at it. So I understand people are complaining, BCP, your sound is like, I'm not good at this stuff. I'm not a technician. Anyone who's had a business and ever read Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth, is sometimes there's people who are good at the actual business, and then you need to bring people in to support all those peripheral things that are important to the business. So It just happened that my son is good at it. He's been a computer geek always since he was little, and fixed the click wheel iPods that we couldn't figure out. He's like, oh, he was like 6 or 7, figured out that you had to update the firmware and all kinds of stuff by plugging into iTunes. I didn't know what the heck was doing. But he was a 6, 7, 8-year-old fixing all our click wheel iPods that were bricked.
I miss those.
So I appreciate that. It has been really great to have Junior and Juniorette do reports, and then have BCP Junior, and then my other child, she's popular on TikTok, so we'll let her do that for the next 2 days until.
I was gonna say she's got to be upset about that whole thing.
She's really little. I mean, not really little, but she's younger, and she's not really into politics and things like that. And she's
all right.
This is not her thing, which is fine. Like everyone's different.
She's got plenty of time to get into politics. All right, Hang 10 Alien Surfer, welcome to the broadcast. What's on your mind, buddy? I could hear the stream in the background. Okay, you have to unmute. You were unmuted for a second, and then you muted again. Hang 10 Alien Surfer, we need you to... there you go.
Man. All right.
You're on the air, brother.
Let me close out the stream, man.
Yeah. Push pause on the stream or turn the volume down on the stream.
All right. So, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on, brother?
All right, cool. Man, I've been watching you for a long time, and this is the first time I've ever called in, so I'm kind of like kind of nervous, man.
Just breathe. It's gonna be okay.
Right.
And remember, we're just normal dudes who just happen to have
three
shows.
guys here talking.
Yeah, just hanging out. What's on your mind, man? I appreciate you watching the show.
Yeah. So I live in California, and I live in like a zip code which has 3 congressional districts, and I think they do that because we're the zip code is kind of like it's conservative, sort of, in the zip code, but we're surrounded by liberal areas.
So they break it up into 3 parts so that you don't have any hopes of getting Republican representation?
Well, yeah, no, I just saw like Eric Early sign 3 houses down, and Mark Reed is our Republican guy, because I live in like Brad Sherman's district, but Eric Early is like Adam Schiff. And I went over and told the neighbors, is like going, he's not even on our ballot. He's not on our ballot. So
I have no idea who any of these guys are.
Well, okay. I live in Brad Sherman's district, who is like in the top 10.
Okay.
But Adam Schiff, you know who he is.
Absolutely, you know who Adam Schiff is, yes.
Yeah, he's a couple blocks away.
Okay. So have you ever run into Adam Schiff, like in the morning, like taking the dog out or anything?
No, no. I wish. But I've been in like Brad Sherman's district for a long time.
Okay.
And our Republican congressman has been Mark Reed.
Okay.
The poser for Brad Sherman.
Okay.
And I would gladly vote for Eric Early because he's great. He seems like a great guy. But my neighborhood is just so confused because on the other side of the airport where I live, that's District 29. I live in 30, and District 28 is actually Adam Schiff, and it's all within one zip code.
Wow. They play a lot of games in California, though. I mean, I mean that seems pretty much par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you have any questions for BCP?
Oh, sorry, I do. I just had to get that off my chest because I just saw somebody putting a congressman's like that we can't vote for in their lawn sign, and they're very good to do that. I
get you.
But I just can't. I can't believe that they. Yeah, never mind. Okay, so no. BCP, love the Ramones, by the way. Hey ho, let's go.
Oh, hey, let's go. We're all living one big rock and roll.
Ever. Well, for years, not ever, but for years, I've heard Black Conservative and Patriot, and I just subscribed to your Twitter because they just let me back on again.
Good stuff.
And you're out of Nashville, right? Or is that correct?
No, I'm in California.
Oh, you're in California.
Yeah.
I thought so, but yeah, somebody.
Actually, I used to live in your district, like in the La Crescenta, La Cañada area of those districts over there. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. La Crescenta, La Cañada. Yeah, that's 28 or 25, or I don't even know.
Once again, who knows? Depends on where you're at.
But I love that area. But okay, so I don't know what to do when. Okay, I'm so afraid of getting. I'm blessed to have a job right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so afraid of getting fired for even trying to red pill anybody. And you were so brave.
Yeah. Then I appreciate that. Oh, let me tell you right now. Don't put. California is a crazy place. I mean, the nation's crazy. I don't think we're unique in our wackiness, even though we have our unique wackiness, if that makes any sense. Do not put in danger your livelihood over politics. I totally get that. So let me just put that out there. There's no shame in just being quiet, because the other side is emotional and not rational, and it's a survival instinct that's breeded into us and put into us by God. And it's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. So don't feel bad that you're not red pilling people at work, because that could endanger your livelihood. I would never tell people to endanger their livelihood to red pill people. There's other ways to do that, other means that doesn't put in danger your livelihood.
Absolutely. All right, hang 10. We've got 10 people on the line, buddy, so we're moving on to the next caller. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it, and stay safe in California. Okay, let's see. We're going to next caller, and caller 0994. You're on the air. Make sure your stream is muted in the background, and can I get your name?
I go by Elo.
Elo. What's on your mind, Elo?
Hey, Elo.
Elo Talk. That's what I go by. That's my handle.
All right. Well, sweet. Thanks for calling in.
Well, I just wanted to say hi to BCP and Red Pill 78. I also wanted to talk about a documentary that I discovered about the history of the Democrat Party. And so that's what I wanted to tell, because I want to spread the news. I'm one of those truthers that has been banned from everything.
What's the name of the documentary?
The name of the documentary is Emancipation, Revelation, Revolution.
Emancipation, Revelation, Revolution. Okay.
Yeah. So that documentary pretty much lays out the platform of the racist Democrat Party. If you look at the history that you get in school, like now I'm gonna give my age away by telling y'all this.
Okay.
In 1980, I took a history class, and my teacher, I loved her. She was a member of the historical this and that and the other. She spent a quarter of the semester talking about slavery and the plight of the African, the black Africans. Mm-hmm. And he didn't spend 1 minute talking about white slavery. And now, if you look at the root word of the word slave, it's Slav.
Right.
Slavic.
Yep.
So that is, Slavic refers to Eastern Europeans. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say the name, but it's a certain group of folk over there in the Middle East would travel to Eastern Europe to abduct Slavs, take them to the harems, and this and that and the other. And Africans would sell each other, like they would give each other. So all this history I never heard when I was in college. This indoctrination that you see today, it's been going on for many, many decades. And I do a lot of research, and I've been waking up, I would say like maybe in the last 2-3 years, I've really woken up to the truth of the Democrat Party. And, I watched, what's his name? Young Pharaoh one day.
Yep. Heard of him.
And I really woke up, man. He had a segment talking about this the documentary Emancipation, Revelation, Revolution. So I looked it up, and of course Google, doesn't really want you to see it. So I had to go to like Quant or Opera Touch, just get out there and get it. And I want people to know, y'all need to look up this documentary and watch it. Find the DVD if you can. I had to search high and low, and it lays out the platform of the racist Democrat Party. All the stuff that you see happening in 2020, it's been happening since the inception of the Democrat Party.
Absolutely.
Everything that you see right now, the BLM and Antifa is the modern version of the KKK. In the 1800s, the Republican Party was founded by about 150 emancipated black ex-slaves and about 20 Christian abolitionists.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Republican Party was founded, it was an anti-slavery platform. When they started gaining power, political power in the United States, the racist Democrats, they had like hell they were going to have it.
Yeah,
they founded the KKK, and they hunted down every single Republican. Now, back then,
Elo, we've got 11 people on the line and 15 minutes left in the show. So give us the name of the documentary one more time so people can find it.
Yeah, y'all please look at it. It's called Emancipation, Revelation, Revolution.
Emancipation, Revelation, Revolution. All right. Thank you very much for calling. I'm going to try to get it myself, okay?
Okay. All right. Y'all take care. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. All right. Let's see here.
Before I get the next person on, I'm going to say something that is not cool for a black person to say, but
go ahead.
Let's remember, in the slave trade triangle, black Africans were selling black Africans to the Dutch slave traders, and thanks to Barry Obama and his Secretary of State, who destabilized Libya, there are open slave markets in Northern Africa today.
To this day.
So, and if we go back to the beginning of history, if you believe in the Bible, if you believe in regular history, slavery, unfortunately, has existed in societies forever.
Yeah.
And it's not unique to white Americans. And guess what? Oh my gosh, I must be a coon. I must be a sellout. White Europeans and Americans were some of the first enlightened people to do away with slavery by law.
Exactly. Yeah.
So kudos to my white brothers and sisters for getting rid of something a lot earlier than other societies have. Is that a racist statement? No. It's called a fact.
Yeah, that's right. Before we bring in Carlos Danger here, I need to say thank you to Patty. Also, thank you to Zoso Dude. Looks like Zoso Dude sent a donation. I will get the messages here in just a second. Patty had no message. Let's see. Freddie said no message. And I don't know what happened to the... Oh, there it is. Zoso Dude says, don't care about the docs. Zoso here. Keep playing those bagpipes. Bill Barr wants to do a duo with you. Somehow, people started saying that Red Pill plays the bagpipes the other night. I don't know where that came from, but never touched a set of bagpipes. Not saying I wouldn't enjoy playing them. I would like to. I used to play the clarinet. But, all right, Carlos Danger's laptop. You're on the air. What's up, buddy?
Hide your kids. It's Carlos Danger's laptop.
I love your graphic that you made there. That's hilarious. What's on your mind tonight, buddy?
Well, they let me get some rec time again. So I went outside, take a little walk. I keistered my phone, and it's a little dirty, but I figured since you guys were talking about Barr, oh God, he was just torturing me 2 days ago. I mean that figuratively, people.
Oh man. You got any questions or comments for BCP on tonight's material?
Well, keep it up. Just keep letting people know that I'm still alive.
I'm anxiously awaiting the release of the information on Carlos Danger's laptop. There's got to be just tons of stuff on there.
Well, I got one word for you, and it rhymes with hassle-snip.
The infamous insurance file. Infamous insurance file.
I think of it more long-term insurance policy.
That's right. That's right. All right, Carlos, thanks for your call, brother. Good to see you again.
Well, it's all the comic relief I get, so I figure I'll share it with you. Let me go keister this phone again real quick. Hang on.
All right, bro. We'll talk to you next time.
I think we don't have a visual for that. Now, people have asked me if I've seen it. Absolutely, I have not seen it. I want that to be public record. I have not seen it. I have never searched for it, nor would I search for it. So I have no idea if it is valid or not. I do know another YouTuber who has reached out to me, who is a tech guy, who claims that he's seen it, and it is the most horrific thing that he's ever seen. He says it's legit, but for the record, for public's sake, I have no idea of its validity or anything about it. Never even attempted to find it. I have not seen it.
No, I wouldn't either. Truthmonger, make sure you mute the stream in the background, and let's. What's your question for BCP?
Hold on a second. Which one do I mute? Hold on.
Well, you mute the YouTube stream.
Has reached out to
All
me.
right, let me do that.
He is a tech guy who claims that he's seen it, and it is the most horrific thing that he's ever seen. He says it's legit.
All right. Sounds like you got it. What's your question for BCP or your comment?
Okay, I don't know if you recall or not, but I was on at the end of one of your shows, right? Yeah. We are sovereign. The people are sovereign, yes. But I did the cracking the eggshell of conditioning, and I never, because we were so short, didn't have time to go into the real purpose of what that brings about is the solution. Everyone talks about the problems, and for me, it's frustrating. I'm sorry, but I've been at this for over 30 years now. So this is like a repeat, and hope after hope after hope of being, shot down so many times, and even becoming a target, as I think I expressed once before, when I won a case against a judge. Am I doing something here?
You're speaking on there, so keep going.
All right, good. The solution is a simple one, and I really hope you guys will get your head wrapped around it. And that is, it's called replace CCP. We know what CCP is, Chinese Communist Party, and replace it with CCT, which is continued competency training. If you go to Article 6 of the Constitution, it says the senators and representatives before mentioned, as well as the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and all judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. Now, I can defend you and not believe in you, but I cannot support you if I do not believe in it. And that brings us back to the principle. The fact is they swear an oath. That makes a contract, by the way, because they get paid. So you can get them on both sides, not only violation of the oath, but also under their contract. The fact that they don't know it means that they're imposing or impersonating else. I actually use the 10 questions. I can get them to admit it. In fact, okay, I get them to admit it, but I'm not here for that, because that's not a solution. Require thousands of people to do the same thing thousands of times over. The simple solution is for the people to institute positive law to enforce the 6th article of the Constitution. Continued competency. Now, I disguised it like they do, call it training instead of testing. But as part of the testing, they have to pass, part of the training, they must pass the testing. And the testing has to do with this very specific, God, let me know, knowledge, understanding, and accurate use. Knowledge is what I just did from memory. I can tell you almost every article in the Constitution, but more importantly, I know the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, which for you guys who are listening, as I have to speak fast, I apologize, but the time is short. is a perpetual, irrevocable express trust. And we are the beneficiaries of that trust. That's why it uses the word support instead of defend. So all of this works together. It all comes together. But the fact is that if you know the principle of law upon which the laws are founded, then you understand whether something is lawful or not lawful.
Truthmonger, because we're right here at the end, this is what I want you to do. Everybody loves you in the chat. I want you to send me an email right now, and I want to give you a full 2 hours to do a full show on everything that you got, because I wanted to do this before and I lost your email. I know you sent me an email before. Send me another one, put Truthmonger in the subject line, and we will get you scheduled in the upcoming weeks. How's that sound? Is that good?
Blessings.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
And thank you. I love you guys. I love you both. I love you both. Hallelujah. Praise God. We pray you should go to, for people who don't know, go to strikeforceofprayer.com and you can look up I Do Maryland's.
Okay.
Blessings.
Blessings, brother. We'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks again for calling. I look forward to having you on the show. All right, good stuff. You guys, hopefully you're going to enjoy this because I think it's going to be good. He has some incredible information. Got a new Spidey suit. Got a new Spidey suit is the next caller coming in. We're right here at the end of the show. 5,200 people still with us. 4,100 likes. Let's see if we can get to 100% likes at the end of the show. Got a new Spidey suit, has no microphone connected. It doesn't say it's connecting. So we're going to go with, the spicy conservative did not get on last time, and she had been trying to. So we'll bring her in, and whoever gets their microphone on first will get the chance to ask their question. And
competition.
That's right. That's right. I love it when it comes down to the wire like this. Spicy conservative, you're on the air. I'm so glad we got you here. Go ahead with your question.
Hello? Can you guys hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't hear Spicy Conservative, so since I can hear you, we'll go with your question. Got a new Spidey suit. What's going on?
All right, real quick. First and foremost, you guys are great. Watch you guys' show every day.
Thank you.
Look forward to it. The way you guys break things down, crazy. Both Red Pill, you and BCP. BCP, what's going on?
How's it
so
going?
Good to be in the room with you. So my question for you guys is, with all the stuff that's been known from our favorite Anon, I keep hearing this thing about Nasara, and that originally back September 11th, that's when it was supposed to have went into place, but instead we got a war on terror. Am I correct in that? Is that what happened?
I'll be real honest with you about Nasara. If it happens, that is great, but so far I haven't seen any evidence to indicate that Nasara as like something put into practice is truthfully going to happen. It always seems like the people that believe in Nasara and that put forth what they believe to be evidence, the can just keeps getting kicked down the road, it's supposed to come. I understand that there was something signed into law by Bill Clinton. It was never enacted. But I've never seen anything happen, and I mean, I just can't. I can't put my eggs in that basket because it just seems like everybody just keeps getting disappointed by it not being real. BCP, do you have any knowledge or opinions on Nasara?
Out of my realm.
Out of your realm, okay. I'll tell you what got a new Spidey suit. What I knew that was supposed to happen was that there was a whole bunch of bonds that were supposed to mature on September 11th, and that was something to do with the 5-Star Trust and George H.W. Bush. But that's about it. And obviously, there was the missing $2.3 trillion at the Pentagon and, all kinds of hanky-panky. There was a bunch of stuff that happened there. But yeah, I mean, as far as Nasara is concerned, man, it's just, I think there's so many things that are truthfully happening and we can really, track them in real time. So if it happens, I'm totally cool with it, though.
One thing to remember is that a lot of things are happening that are connected that we don't know the connections to.
Yeah. And
a lot of things that appear to be connected that we find out later are just parallel things happening that are not connected. And one thing that that Red knows and I know is that we don't know what we don't know. So, but we have so much of what we do know that we've got plenty of things to work on and information to get out and people to prosecute. The tip of the iceberg is so big that even right now, what's underneath the surface, we'll get to it when we get to it, but let's chip out at the things that we can already see.
Yeah.
I hear that. I hear that. I definitely hear that. That's just something that was, and it's so much information out there on it. I didn't know if that's something that you guys tapped into, because it was like, I don't never really hear these guys talking about that too much. But nonetheless, I know you guys are on you're trying to get as many people out as you can. Glad I was able to jump in and talk to you guys. So y'all go ahead and keep it moving, man.
Good to hear from you. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yep,
peace. All right. Spicy Conservative, you're on the air. You made it. What's going on?
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, it's my pleasure. What's your question or comment for BCP?
So my question for BCP, and I just recently discovered you on YouTube. Love your channel. So I don't know this for sure about you, but I don't know if you've always held the beliefs that you do now. And if you haven't, I'm curious as to what your main red pill moment was, because I have several friends who are persons of color that I'm just, anytime I bring up Trump, they just completely shut down. And I'm wondering, what was that red pill moment for you?
All right. And this is the 90-second story. And then I don't know how it'll be specific to, I was a diehard Democrat, fight the power, kufi wearing, Africa medallion wearing Democrat, pro big government. When I was 17, 18, my answer to everything is the government should do something about, and then whatever grievance comes after that. I go to UC Berkeley as a freshman, and I start to study I have a degree in economics. So I started studying economics and history, the movement of money, what have you. And I start to realize that there are people that want to be crooks. And there are people that come from powerful families, and people who are smart who don't come from powerful families and say, why the heck do I want to be a mafia don when I just go in the government and write the laws that protect me to be a crook? So I was starting to formulate that idea in my mind. I went to a predominantly in North County, San Diego. I went to a predominantly white high school. It was mixed, but it was predominantly white. And I was at the top of my class. I wasn't the number one guy who also went to Berkeley, but I was in the top of my class. And I worked hard to get there because my parents didn't tell me like, oh, you just can do whatever you want because you're black. And then I'm in a predominantly white high school competing with other white kids. And that's how I was. That's what I was taught, that if you want to compete, you got to work hard. And that's how life is. So I get to Berkeley, and I had this beautiful blonde co-ed come up to me and say, that's so cool that they let you into Berkeley because you're black.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, liberals are the real racists. And everyone tries to be logical about their red pill moment, but think about everyone out there on the sound of my voice. Your red pill moment was not logical. It was emotional. Mm-hmm. It was emotional. I was red pilled in that moment because someone, a hot looking co-ed, thought lesser of me because I was black. She assumed that they had to lower the standards for me to come into the school. I had no idea that I had gone to a predominantly white high school. Listen to the way I talk, okay? And so that was my red pill moment. That combined with the fact that everything that they were trying to shove down my throat about socialism, I straight out rejected. And you're an 18-year-old male with a very fragile ego. You couple that with the actual knowledge I had, and I rejected every form of Marxism from that time forward in any way, shape, or form.
Awesome. Yeah, Spicy Conservative, I encourage you to watch the first time that BCP was on the show with me, because we went into his entire experience in detail. But thank you for your call, and thank you for your question. We are out of time. I appreciate you.
Big hug to everyone out there. All right. Thanks for calling in, Spicy C, and thanks for joining the BCP family.
Yeah, glad to have you, as always. We'll talk to you soon. All right, you guys, we are out of time. So sorry to everybody who we did not get a chance to speak to. We still got 8 people on the line, and I know that people are going to be disappointed, but that's why I do so many shows each week. So if you didn't make it in tonight, give us a call tomorrow. We'll try to get you in. I want to say thank you to everybody who hung out in the chat with us tonight. Thank you to everybody who supported the show. Thank you especially to BCP for coming back on the program. Let me give you the last word, my friend.
All right, folks, we've got 50 odd days, or 40 odd days, less than 50 days, let's say, to the most important election. 2016 was the most important election up to that point. but now so much more is at stake here. Because in 2016, it was going to be the beginning of the end. Now we've corrected course, and if we start to go back in the other trajectory, we are looking at a civil conflict that we have never imagined we would see in this modern era. And we have to do everything legal, lawful, and ethical to make sure that our duly elected and beloved president, Donald John Trump, is re-elected. Now is the time to, now I know someone called in, do not put in danger your livelihood. Do not put your life in danger. Don't do anything that is unreasonable for yourself, your safety, your health, or what have you. But now is not the time to be shy in moments that we can let people know how we feel and how we think, and that we support our president and why. And when you're talking to your friends about why you support President Trump, don't, if they're liberals or they're moderates, do not go at them logically. Go at them emotionally, why you emotionally are invested in the winning of President Trump in 2020. Because you do not want your children to be subject to lockdowns. You do not want your children to be subject to high taxes and poverty, because you do not want to feel that you don't have freedom, because you don't like it when you can't speak your mind. Whatever the emotional point is of whatever you think is logical, that is what you need to express to your friends, family, and neighbors, and not be shy about it. We have a country to save. We have a republic that is finally on the right course. Let's keep it there.
Excellent. All right, you guys, thank you everybody for joining us. I really appreciate you, BCP. Thanks again for coming on the show. We'll see you again next time. Trump 2020, good luck and God bless.